everybody, I think we're ready to start. Maybe we can start twice, 3 times without the carrying, as long as the seat's still up, but we're doing very well. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Central Newfoundland and Labrador, or perhaps more specifically, the hometown launch of Misty's Misadventures by Miss Catherine Rousseau. Most people know who I am and don't necessarily get to know what they don't or think, well, what's the up there again for? But anyway, for those who don't know me, my name is Dave Anthony, and I'll be your MC for most of the evening, except, of course, when other people talk. And Catherine's going to do a fair amount of that, both from her book and in other departments. So here we go. Well, it's certainly been quite an adventure for this evening's guest of honor, or celebrated author, if you will. By any other name, of course. But the key point to emphasize is that it took Catherine, as she would put it, ever so long, 10 years in fact, to publish. But publish she did. And the possibilities of what may or may not happen to Misty and her misadventures, well, we'll simply say that they're endless. The possibilities are endless. And there will be an elaboration on that after a few moments. Now, about Catherine, where does one start? How much time do you have? How much were you paid comic?
That's more like it.
Yeah, okay. Some of you may simply recognize her as a television hostess, if you want to be politically correct or not, at Rogers Game. Or her popular, and this quite popular podcast, Get Ready. Well, there's local people, and I'll repeat you if you will remember her as the uptown girl who grew up on Popular Road, uptown as in geography and so on and so forth, those who don't know that. Who went to the GFA system. You remember that? Nod your heads and you're doing well. And here's the thing about her, she loved theater. And all that was and remains artsy, is the way she puts it, or I embellished a bit, put it there. But first and foremost, always envisioned herself as a writer. So she stuck to it. And after, well, I just, again, paraphrase as a varied career, including several media bits, has become just that, a writer and a published author, thus seeking celebration of Misty's Misadventures. But there's a little bit more before I introduce her, bring her up here. After persistent, I'll use that word, efforts towards furthering the novels, the way we put it, from simply words on page to print to even greater levels, not content to let in and simply lie as a novel, just to put some words again. She enrolls with NWO, Newfoundland Labrador Organization of Women Entrepreneurs, and various other media outlets and other business ventures, people just say. And I've summed that up by saying etc., because she doesn't want her life story all revealed this evening, that'll come out of the book. In the hope of making a video or a trailer as a possible start for, oh yeah, fishing continues, a series or a movie. And so, in August of last year, after obtaining the services of Emily the Sky in a few moments, filmmaker Robert Monder and Up Sky Down Films in Sin City, St. John's. It was off the races on a hot day like no other. And all filming with local actors and assistants in the little village of Pleasantview. Locals, well, they've never seen the like. Well, as a result, tonight's event will also feature a viewing of the trailer, in addition to the book launch itself, which will occur after. And the film features local actors Courtney and Daniel Kelly, Sean Cooper, and I don't know, some fellow by the name of Dave. Anthony, I think, depending where you're from. Anthony or Anthony, depending on where you're from. That was all. That's okay. Here we go. We can jump right ahead. Here we go. Perfect. Don't be followed by reading the scenes from the book, and I understand Catherine's going to do those bits. A video went from a very good production company. I'll let Catherine take care of the rest of that introduction. And featured performances, or a performance actually by Evelyn Jess, Newfoundland singer-songwriter, whose most recent accolade was the immediate Earhart Songwriters Award for Trapassi in June. Plus an appearance again by our Fizz, infamous, whichever word he preferred to use, or called producer, director Roger Monder, who Catherine will introduce very briefly. So finally, before I bring her up, Catherine's been featured on the cover of Envelope, and again, has been a regular contributor to that magazine as well. And most recently, the story of the book and the trailer, and people laugh at me all the time. You went to the drugstore and bought the Newfoundland Herald. Well, that's full of comics, isn't it? TV guides. No. It's full of very, very valuable pieces of information for those who care below. And so anyway, recently, our story was featured at the book and the trailer in the Newfoundland Herald, and it's great. Lots of photos, lots of pictures to follow. So finally, then, just a reminder, the bar is open downstairs. It's a cash bar. Any lights not free. We learned that. But the town band, John's also promoting it. The town band is running the bar this evening, and we'd like for you to support these people and wonderful group that they are. I'll do my best, Dave. What's that? I'll do my best. You'll do your best. You'll get a pad home or something. And finally, the washrooms are to our right over here. Those who are not familiar with this facility. And don't you dare touch any of this until after it's over. But there's going to be free cookies and bits and pieces in the back, tea, coffee, and all that. You do not have to pay for that, so you don't need to run that when it's over. And so, please welcome Ms. Catherine.
Thank you very much for that warm introduction, Mr. Anthony. And just for those of you, because I'm sure that this question is on your mind, will you be able to get an autograph from the stars of the trailer, such as Mr. Anthony and Mr. Cooper down there? Yes, they will be signing autographs. So please keep your bank slips and any other things you receive. They'll be looking for you. They'll be at that table over there, and it'll be a pleasure, won't it, Dave and Sean? Well, I'm so thrilled to be here. I did a launch about 2 weeks ago in St. John's, and I was quite nervous about doing it out there. And Roger Monder down there in the back convinced me that I had to go to St. John's because that's where the film business is, and I had to get their attention. And we succeeded in getting their attention. Actually, they did come to the launch for Newfoundland Film Development, and at the end, he set up a meeting with me and gave me a list of 12 producers that I should start going through, people like who have produced Republic of Doyle and so on. So they were a very vetted list, and I was very, very excited to have it, and I'm working my way through it. And Suzanne Lyons from Burbank is going to talk with me about that tonight as well, and you'll get it really wants to start, but I want to finish first. She's going to talk a little bit about that because she's someone that I've known for a long time, and I'll fill you in after on that. And in the meantime, what I wanted to do is give you a chance to see the book trailer to give you an idea of what's up here in my head when I wrote this book. And when I did write Misty, I was all over the place, all over North America, and I was trying to think, what can I do while I'm doing all this traveling? Well, I can take my computer, I can take my brain, and my ideas. And that's how Misty was born, and she's named after a weather pattern on the east coast of the island. In case you were wondering, if she was from here, she would be sunny. But she's Misty, and a little bit of mist and a little bit of cloud overhangs her life in this story, and she has to resurrect herself from a failed marriage, and she gets into a few misadventures along the way to finding herself again, and that's what we're trying to capture in this. But in my heart, I felt that this could be more than a book. I feel strongly it could be a TV series or film, and I'm going to say that because if you don't think it, believe it, maybe it will never happen, right, belly dancers? We felt we could belly dance, and so we did. So that is what I'm pursuing, and maybe Suzanne will talk about that as well. But I do want to thank you all for taking time after such a long winter, and I know the weather has turned here, and it's nice and warm, and I appreciate you being in here. We thought we'd keep it nice and warm for you in here, too. And certainly hot drinks. But there's water downstairs. Please don't pass out, and I'm hoping my singer-songwriter, Evelyn, tells me she likes cold temperatures, so she's fanning herself over there. She's got to hang in there till we get to the end, so I'm going to move it along. I'd like to invite Roger up to the stage. He says no, but I say yes. Roger Ponder, I met him at the Digital Festival down in Toronto, which is so wonderful. How important it is for us to have events where we can meet each other. And I met Roger, and he did film, and I was talking about this book. And then when the time came that I said I want to do a book trailer, I wanted to do that book trailer with Roger. And I know he was the best choice. And if you've seen any of his work on the town of Grand Falls, Windsor side, and pieces with Gordon Pinsent and so on, he's fabulous. And he was part of it. Come on, Roger. Kim, there's a couple of seats here. Kim and Allison, come on and sit down, because you will not make it standing up.
I don't have much to say, but I just want to thank you for inviting me to be a part of this, and for all the wonderful actors that were involved. For that, it feels like a couple of days, but it really was only one day, from early in the morning till sundown. And it was just a lot of fun. And it's great to see such a huge turnout here in Grand Falls. Grand Falls, Windsor, but I just want to thank you for having me involved, and I really appreciate it. Hopefully we can make it a bigger thing when
I was talking to Roger, and I said, well, I got some things moving along, and I said, He said, yeah, but me too, right? I said, yeah, me too, Roger, you too. And hopefully that's exactly what will happen. We do have to go yet, but anyway. All the way from St. John's for 1 minute, but he's doing some work out this way, so I'm so glad that he could come, and Jill, his wife, is here in the back as well. So it was important to me to have this launch here in Grand Falls, Windsor, because this is where it all began, and this is where I'd love to see more of it happen. So here we go. We're going to have a look at it after rewind it. For a second here. Okay. I want to go. I want to go.
Misty Muldoon's favorite view of Newfoundland was always the one in her rearview mirror. Coming home wasn't in her plan.
Oh, come on. Nice practice, isn't it?
Hi. Do you want to try cutlets in this?
That's been a great year. Try that way. You're going to get the help, sir. Tell you what. I'll take you to it, okay, Mrs.? I think that's perfect. Who are you?
Mr. Muldoon.
Oh, yeah, well, this is just a fixer-upper, you know. Oh, Charlie didn't take your time today when Parker was money.
No, I'll ask you. I need a job.
Oh, you'll get a J.O.B.
3 months ago, her idea of a necessity was an underlying broth and a glass of wine. Now, it's putting logs in the wood stove and finding a job. Where's the furnace?
That's it.
You're joking.
You? Listen, that is hard over here.
The yard? What's that, a knitting store?
seriously, Greg, really. Put it up, what is it?
So you're what Blue and the attorney's called?
Misty won't do, and you're looking for a job.
Alright, here's your job description. Just one thing, stay out of my way and make sure your calls are on time.
What's my pay?
Do you know what they get paid at the New York Times?
Yes.
Yeah, for nothing.
Get it, start nosing around.
Hey, I got a J.O.B. My own column, Missy's Misadventures.
That's what you finish. What you got is a piece of work with a piece of work.
With the ink freshly dried on her divorce papers, the last thing Misty needs is a man.
You're not from here. Welcome to Charlie's Co. I'm Steve.
I'm Misty. Let's go ahead.
If they should have taught you stormway, your parents said to the door there. I think you'll fit in just great around here. I'll see you around as well.
So in a very personal column, desperately longing for love, accidentally goes viral, applications pour in, and papers start selling like hotcakes. What did you do? What did you do? Desperately needing love? That was promised.
I just think the reality TV show, and things just arrived for you. This was from Hebrew Philippa. That couldn't satisfy a goat, let alone a woman. You're making me famous, and you works for me.
I didn't sign up to be your retirement plan.
That's too late for that, I bet.
You're insufferable. Can't believe I work for you.
But you do work for me, baby, don't forget it.
But the one man she really wants is not impressed.
What's this? Was it not moving fast enough for you?
It's not my fault. It's Fawn's pay.
So what do you expect me to do now? Get along to your lover?
Well, we could submit your application.
I thought I already did.
Want to go? Misty's Misadventures, a tale of romance, misfortune, and the enduring spirit of a woman who won't give up. It will make you laugh out loud and put small town neighborhood on your bucket list forever. You'll love it.
I don't know, it's a thing with, at least it is with me, I always watch the credits. And especially now since I'm trying to break into this business, what drives me crazy about Netflix is if you don't download the show, they cut the credits. And I'm like, no, you wrote that. And I can't get the information, so I have to make you sit through it. Anyway, it was great to work with people from the community, and I think by your applause, they all know that they did a great job, and the little community of Pleasant View will never be the same again. And this was the sign that we put up, so you feel free to have your photograph taken by it if you wish before you leave tonight, and put it on social media. We will not complain about that at all. So now you have a bit of the vision of what's going on in this book, and when I did the trailer, I was trying to think of, okay, what are the pieces I'm going to pull out, and how am I going to make this entertaining. And I hadn't done something like this for a long time, but I had done it in the past, having worked in TV and promotion of movies and films and things like that. So Let There Be Light. Anyway, it was really, really fun to do it, but it was nice to have, like, you saw where Roger had hired the helicopter at the beginning there, right? Like, he blew me away on that budget that we had, that he actually had a chopper. I know you're impressed. Anyway, so how was, to go back to those days of when I had started with ATV in Halifax, and once you get kind of that television thing in your blood. It's hard to get rid of it. So I came back here feeling like a fish out of water, and you wonder why I ended up on Rogers TV, because I couldn't find what I really wanted to do to fill my time. And then all of a sudden one day, it was Roger Robinson came and said, "Do you think you might like to host a show?" And I was like, possibly. 7 years later, many shows made me feel happy here, and this makes me feel very happy to think that perhaps we can create this. And I'm actively working on it. At the time that I had finished the manuscript, I'm going to move to Suzanne, but just to give you a little background on that, my mouse would actually cooperate here. I wanted to get in a film writing school or program in Toronto, and I didn't have, you had to have a film script to apply, but what I had was a manuscript. So my friend Suzanne, who I had worked with at ATV, I'd gone on to work in public relations, and she went down to the States to work in television, but we stayed close. And then she said she wanted to make movies. So she ended up in Burbank, and she has done 13, she's editing her 13th feature film. So I really feel that it's important for me to bring number 14 on, left there in the abyss of 13. But she has so much experience, and she's done so many wonderful things, and I have the opportunity to call her, to work with her, to have her on side. And better yet, she's from New Brunswick, so she understands the maritime culture and what we're doing here and how we're doing it. So I thought the nicest way to do all this with you is to bring her up in. So everyone, I'd like you to meet Suzanne Lyons. Suzanne is I'll show her title, the producer and president of Snowfall Films. And she's coming all the way to us from Burbank. Suzanne, tell people a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm from here in New Brunswick. And I met Catherine a long time ago. Like so long. Yeah, many parties ago. And anyway, so we've been friends ever since. And I moved down to Los Angeles like 28 or 29 years ago, a while ago. And started making films. And I'm now working on my 14th film, feature film. And my husband is a showrunner for television, producer for television, now on television. And he's from London, Ontario. So we've been here a while and we're really enjoying it. And the weather's a little bit hot at the moment, but it's usually pretty nice all the time.
Well, I've been out to visit Suzanne, and those years ago at ATV when we were together were pretty wild times, but that's another show. some of it we would never tell.
No, R-rated. It could be R-rated.
Yeah, it was fun, and we're both still here to tell the stories. But Suzanne, when someone like me, a writer, writes a book and I have a vision to see it as a film, you must run across that from time to time. And, why do you tell people like me?
Wow. I would say the first thing is to realize that writing a novel and writing a screenplay are literally apples and oranges. Honestly, they're completely different things. And a lot of times people think, oh, well, I've written a novel, so therefore I contributed to the screenplay. It just doesn't work that easily. So what I really recommend, and I remember at the beginning I mentioned that to you as well, you can kind of follow it actually through the whole thing, is to read screenplays. Read as many screenplays as you can get your hands on. They're all free these days and online. And read, you can read other genres that you want to certainly read screenplays that are in the genre that your book is as well. In your case, or maybe comedies, I would recommend reading many films. But a lot of times you can just read any, just get the structure, the whole idea of the structure, and the plot, and the dialogue, and just the way it all comes together. And then you have, your final draft, or whatever kind of format that you want to use. But really, it is a whole different ballgame. So kind of get familiar, get educated, read a couple of books on it, maybe get a mentor. Might be a great idea, somebody who's been there, done that, or somebody who's a writer. but even somebody who's a writer, like a seasoned writer of screenplays, you know. People love to help other people. It's one of the things we all have in common with one another. We do love to support each other and want to contribute. And so get them in, you know, no matter how big the name is, give them a call. They're reaching a call. You can have half an hour, 10 minutes of their time, you know. So those would be a few things. The good news is what you have to an advantage that most writers, most screenplay writers don't, is that you've got a book. You know, in this town, oh my God, you know, the more you've got to bring to the table and the more kind of credit that it adds to your name, that's what sells in this town. Having an IP, you know, having a book like that is so important. You know, most of the time writers just have screenplays. And you go in with them, and first thing they ask nowadays, this is something that's only been for the past 10 years. First thing they'll ask is, oh, was it a book? Well, no, it's just a screenplay. Well, you know, that's what you've got a book. I'm not kidding. It happens all the time. If it's based on a book, in fact, I've got two of them going on right now, where, two or three actually, where it just helps a lot to be able to walk in the door, you know, and say, oh, yeah, this is based on a book. It obviously means there's that credibility already there.
Right. Well, now I've got the book, and we've been talking about the vision, and you were with me when I went to Toronto to polish, and basically that screenplay I took to Toronto was written very quickly, based off of screenplays you sent me, and I went, okay, here's how I write a screenplay, and it was like a very, very hectic period of time. Got in there, it was juried, I got accepted, you met me in Toronto, and we had that screenplay. I felt quite intimidated at that point. However, I got to work with a great guy. You picked him out. You picked him out. We went to this room, this cocktail party, and there were all these coaches for writers. And we had to end up being partnered with the writer. And I'm like, here's this man who was very, very established, incredible. Suzanne came over to me, and she had a glass of wine, and she goes, you get over and talk to him. You talk to him. He looks like Peter Sosky. I don't want to go over there and talk to him. He's like intimidating. No, she said, that's the one you want. And you might want to add to this, but that's how I remember it.
No, I mean, because he was the most, celebrated in Canada. I mean, you know, he was a great story analyst and great working with writers, and, you know, everybody had mentioned him, so we thought, no, there's the guy, and then you ended up getting him for 3 months or something.
With a bit of help, so Ken Chubb was his name, and he coached me through the screenplay. So now we have that. It's back in Suzanne's hands, and Suzanne, you know, is this a pipe dream for me? What do you think? You know, where are we going with this?
No, I mean, it's never a pipe dream. You always should kind of go with your guts in this case and go with your dreams. And you and I felt that there'd be either a feature, your book, so great as a feature, or I think it's even better as a TV series. So the first place that I took it when the book came out, actually a couple weeks ago, I took it to a company who's known for doing hour-long television, and they kind of do a bit of the romantic comedy, and they do a whole variety of stuff. And I barely was 24 hours later when they called, and I said, oh my God, this is amazing. I sent them the treatment and the screenplay, and they both did good at everything, and said they loved it. Now, you know, the other thing is you never know if there's something else there already like that, or if there's competition. Nowadays, people are looking for content, so now is the time to get out there, and don't be scared, don't be shy, like get your work out there, because there's more streaming, companies opening all the time, and they're asking for content like crazy. So in this case, though, I only got to go to one company. I didn't get to go to any other companies yet because they came back so excited. And we were now on the phone with them, with at least one of the heads, one of the owners of the company. And he said, listen, I'm taking this back to my team. I'll come back to you guys next week. And then we can get on the Zoom and meet Catherine and go from there. So that's where we are, you know. Pretty great. First time out.
Who knows? Maybe the stars are aligning. But like you say, this can be a long process. I realize that it may or may not work out, but just to share with everyone that it's a start. Like we're really working on this, we're really envisioning it, and we'd love to see it. Suzanne, one last question. in doing something like this, I'm thinking now sort of Amazon, Netflix, places like that. Is that where you would see marketing this, or would you go to networks?
I think both. I'm not the person, in charge of that particular company who's going to be taking it out. It's a strictly television based production company, and that's what they do, and that's their specialty, so they'll know best. But when I'm doing either anything like this or even a screenplay or whatever, I will go to either a feature, I'll go to networks, streamers, and studios. I mean, why not? Whoever you can get to, it's a little harder to get into people these days because a lot of times people will say, oh, who's the showrunner of this television series, or who's the actor, or who's the director of this feature. We're getting that right now. One of the things I'm working on. So sometimes it's not as easy to get in. And in this case, it's easier for us because we've got a production company who can just walk in the door of any of those companies. Somebody who's been there and that actually made it over a very, very successful television series. So that makes a big difference. So sometimes still it is a TV series. You might want to maybe look at teaming up with a showrunner, somebody who's got a good name showrunner, and that person can help open doors too, because sometimes they've got a bigger agent, that can open doors for you for sure.
Mm-hmm. And your husband happens to be one of them.
Yes, he is.
Maybe a 2-for-1 package. Before we sign up, I'm going to ask the audience, does anyone out there have a question for Suzanne or anything you've ever wanted to know about film? Suzanne teaches all over the world. She's written books on indie film development. You can find her on the internet. It's SuzanneSnowfallFilms.net.
.com, and then under B is SuzanneLines.net and SnowfallFilms.com.
Yeah, so any questions? I'll say the question you just whispered in my ear. No, everyone's good to you. Yes, okay, Bridget? So for a comic movie. Okay. Okay, Suzanne, this is a question, and I don't know if you can answer this. This young lady is wondering if she was wanting to write a comic, would it be better to have it written out as a novel form or a script form? But that's for a comic. Would you have a comment or a thought?
I do not know. Once again, what I would do if I were her, first thing I always do when it's a learning curve in front of me is I would get a mentor. I would say, who's been there, who's done that? Somebody on planet Earth, okay, billion of us have probably done that, I'm sure. And then see who it is that you kind of even admire. Maybe some of those people have done that in the kind of genre that you like, or something that you really respect and admire their work. And then I would call them and I would say, listen, can I have 10 minutes of your time, or 2 10-minute periods, or a half hour, or whatever. And 99% of people will say yes to a little 10-minute Q&A. And if you're going to do that, please either go on and check my blog on my site, SuzanneLines.net, about how to get a mentor and the proper etiquette for having a mentor, because there really is an etiquette to having a mentor. But have your questions ready. But I would definitely do that. The first thing I would do is get a mentor.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, anyone else? Last chance. We'll let Suzanne go and enjoy the great weather out in Burbank. Woo! Well, thank you so much, Suzanne, for coming on and doing this. I really appreciate it. I know you're busy. And what film is it that you're finishing up now? What's the name on it?
I just finished. It's a great little thriller called The Dark Way Out. We're just in post. We'll literally in post, probably be fully finished in about 2.5 months. But I'm now casting the next one, story, which is based on a true story, which is unbelievable. It's wonderful. Great cast, great everything. Big name directors. So things are exciting. Things are it's just exploding down here. It's wonderful. Everybody's out and their investors are wanting to invest. So it's a good time.
It's a good time. Great. All right. Well, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye now.
Good friends.
Okay.
Bye. Fun.
And this is where I stop the recording, and then Suzanne pops out. So You just got to see backstage what it's like when I do Let's Get Writing every week with a guest. So if you ever want to be a guest, now it's so easy to do. You just come on from the comfort of your home, and we do an interview, and then I post it to my channel, and we upload the audio to the Spotify, Apple, and so on, and maybe even to community, Exploits Valley Community Radio may even have some in the future. Okay, so I think that's all I need the computer for right now. I will, what will we do? Dave, what's our agenda?
Your next.
Okay, all right, okay. Well, maybe I'll record this anyway. What I want to, okay, so when you're asked to do a reading, it's always hard to pick out what particular spot you want, but where this book is about Misty's misadventures, I thought that I would go into the area of one of her first misadventures. So she's come back from the land far away, the mainland, and she's moved back to Charlie's Cove. Population 1604/3 because Charlie died. And so we're down one, but we're up one again. She can go paint that over because she's arrived. We actually have 3. She's brought 2 kids with her. And so she's moved into Charlie's monstrosity of the house, and you saw that. Would you sleep on a bed in that house? No, probably not, neither would she. So her first order of business was to get a bed. So this is where we're going to pick up. She ends up at Tizard's General Store. We got what you want. And they pretty much have everything. So she's come in, and here's where it goes. Okay. Make sure I have the right spot. Yeah. Now, she's in the store. Well, not to worry, Mrs. Tiz stopped and joined her. She watched them. Kids is always like that first time in. We can rustle something up for them to take home. Old Tiz has got the gear. Now, let's have a look at that bed. She followed Tiz through a jungle of tables and chairs, and when he finally stopped, lined up before them were 5 different models. Single, bunk, double, queen, and one massive king. Would the girls be sharing a room? He asked. Oh, no, none of us is sharing a room, Misty replied, immediately regretting her response. Oh, well, you won't be looking at my master king then, will you? Tiz chuckled and crooked an eyebrow at her. There's only a 4 model anyways, boys. We never sells them, he said, lowering his voice. I just keeps it here for enticement. The last word was almost a whisper. Why not? Said Misty. Why not what? Tiz asked, turning to stare at her as he slowly stroked his chin. In Misty's opinion, he was looking at her much as he might a nice, thick, juicy steak. The king, she replied. I like a king. She was only 30 years old. Why not buy a king? Her heart sped up as she recalled the strength of those hands that had held her and helped her find the balance. She was caught in a wind crosswind in the storm. Ah, wouldn't it be kind of nice to wake up and look at a man like Steve Day? Oh, hell, why not Steve himself? He was the real thing after all. Real and probably married, she reminded herself. You once the king, Tiz repeated as he looked her squarely in the eye. Hooky the fish was what came to Misty's mind as her head bobbed up and down like a dashboard decoration. I think, she finally said. You got room for it? He asked. In my life? Yes. My bedroom? That's another matter. Misty did a mental tour of the master room in Charlie's house. It would be tight, but workable. Who needs a dresser anyway? Dressers were for organized old women. Beds, particularly kings, now they were perfect for a vibrant, hopeful, if not somewhat fantasy-driven, heart-sick, love-sick, plain sick of being a lone, laughing, loving woman. To hell with the budget. How much is it? Her mind raced through the list of things she had to buy. Clothes, books, food, the bed, and a bead of sweat formed between her shoulder blades. Well, said Tiz as he continued to rub his chin with his hand. Oh, be good to sell that. Been here for a while, you know. No one slept in it, mind you, but not that I knows of anyhow. Misty held her breath. Oh, I can do 5,000? The words slipped through her mouth so quietly, 'tis strange to hear it. Creepers, missus, 100, 500. And if the girl slices to one on the end, I can throw into an M and make it an even 8. 8? Misty repeated. Oh, all right, then it drives a hard bargain. 7.79, but that's the best I can do. He folded his arms across his chest. When Duff and the boys arrived, Misty was sitting on the service dock, her feet crossed, legs swinging in the breeze. Her daughters perched on either side, each held a doll. Well, looks like you did all right, my love, Duff noted as he hopped out and spied the dolls. Ready, is ya? Misty nodded. She found it hard to contain the self-satisfied look that reflected her inner state. She hadn't felt this good about herself in months. Duff pressed a buzzer, and a few minutes later, Harv Tizard opened a large retracting door. Misty and the girls stood up and watched as the 3 men carted the beds out, and turned to go back for the other one. For the love of Jesus, what's that? Duff stopped abruptly and looked at her. Misty pulled herself to her full 5'6" and tossed her head. That one's mine. Yes, so you can well imagine how well she was received in town after that bed went through on the back of the truck. Anyway, her social calendar truly picked up. And that was the first misadventure. Now I'm going to read one other section. She'd been in town. We heard about the reality TV show there, and things have really taken off, and she's just angry. She doesn't want her life to become the subject of every newspaper article across Canada, or people to be laughing at what's happened to her. So Duff, who was played in our scenario by Dave Anthony, shows up to soothe her anger with a bag of purity peppermint knobs, like you would. Here, Duff passed her a bag of purity peppermint knobs. These was left for you. Once I taste one, to be sure to say, he took a candy from the bag. Say, like I need a food taster now? Don't be silly. She took a candy and popped it in her mouth. It provided an interesting flavor along with her morning coffee. Oh no, could be a jealous missus out there. You bees taking up a lot of attention around here. Oh, well, if I could just get 5 minutes alone with Fawn's Penny, just 5 minutes, there wouldn't be any need to worry about me causing any marriage breakups. I'd be too busy explaining why he was charging me with assault and buttery. You mean battery, don't you? No. Actually, I do mean buttery. What I have in mind is kicking his butt all the way to the town wharf and then lobbing him into the icy cold Atlantic Ocean. And all of this under the cover of darkness, too. Oh, Duff chuckled. You're all right after all. You still got a sense of humor. Well, amazingly, Fonz has too many ideas about where this is going. Duff sucked away on the knob. Oh, you be's the best thing that has ever happened to Fonz in this paper. He had settled into a chair with his feet up on one of the desks. Look around, sure. He scanned the room with his eyes. Not much to it, is there? Just a bunch of beat-up furniture, a few phones, and a couple of computers. Well, I'd say you're the most valuable thing in this place. I see Sponsy's point of view. He's worked all his life. James is finally happening for him. He was doing it again, giving her advice in that way he had. But Doc, I mean, this is my life here. He's marketing me like I'm the flavor of the week. Oh, you tell me this. If you worked here all your life and barely eked out a living, you think you'd do it any different? Duff's question really hurt her. She knew damn well she wouldn't do it any differently. She'd be in the business. She'd been in the business of promoting widgets. And if something like this had ever landed in her lap, she would have danced naked up Barrington Street. She hated that he had to be so right. Well, that vast game. Misty shook her head despondently. No, she admitted, I'd probably do the same thing. Maybe even worse. By now I'd likely have posters all over town. Yes, boy, would you develop the psychic abilities? Doug was grinning at her. What? Misty sat up in her chair and stared at him. You're kidding, right? Oh no, he already done it. And you look so good in them. So that was the little scene where she was trying to be kind to Fawn's Penny, but I'm not sure he has a heart. You have to be booked to find out about that, for sure. Anyway, those are a couple of excerpts. I think from here, are we going to the entertainment segment? Okay, so again, I'll give you one more chance to refresh your drinks if you'd like. We're going to have the coffee and tea down there for you, but before we do that, if you want to take a minute to stretch, Evelyn Jess is going to come up here, and she's going to play the song Home to Newfoundland. And that song is actually originally written by Evelyn and Evelyn Jess, or I call her Jess. When I was looking for a song to go with my book trailer, I listened to so many songs. I listened to Newfoundland musicians, and like you name it, I was on there, and I was sending stuff to Roger and saying, Roger, what do you think? What do you think? Could this song work? I knew I was looking for something that was going to feel right in my heart, that was going to capture the feeling that I wanted for Misty. So anyway, lo and behold, 3 o'clock in the morning, one night I woke up and I was going through and I came across this one. And I put the song on and I'm listening to it in bed and going like, oh yeah, I think this could be it. Put it on permanent replay with my headphones and I Doug was sleeping away, had no idea what was going on the other side of the bed, nor more did he care. So I was rocking it to the song, and we're going to share this one with you now. And I think, well, you heard it in the trailer, but I think you'll agree with me. It's a good theme song for Misty because it's exactly what she did. She came back.
Shit, one. That's good, brother. Let's give a round for our techs, guys. Yeah, give a round. Let the people over and make it happen. So, of course, my name is Evelyn Jess, and this is the first gig that I've actually had in Grand Falls, Windsor, so thank you so much for having me here. Now, my hometown is just around the corner, actually. I'm from Osprey Harbor, so I'm not too far away. So I'm from a small town myself, so I related with Misty coming home to a small town, and I used to work away doing seasonal jobs and in Nova Scotia. Love Nova Scotia, but it's not Newfoundland. And so at the end of every season, I just couldn't wait to come home to Newfoundland. And so I always knew that I wanted to write a song, basically a love letter to Newfoundland. And I sat down one day, and this is what transpired. And of course, then Catherine found it, and it became synced to her book trailer. And this is the first time that I've had some of my music synced to something like this. So this is a new path and a new discovery for me, and I'm so happy to be spending it alongside Catherine as we navigate this world together. So this is Home to Newfoundland. Want to wake up to the smell of homemade bread, and put the kettle on the stove, breathing the smell of salty air, and take a walk along the shore. I want to go home to Newfoundland. I want to go home to Newfoundland. want to go to Newfoundland. Want to feel that northeast wind blow through my tired bones. Watch the fog rolling in. It'd be so good on the soul. But I want to go home to Newfoundland. Yeah, I want to go home to Newfoundland. Oh, I want to go to Newfoundland. Bring me closer to the water. Bury my feet in the sand. Oh, feel the warmth from the fire. Along the beaches of Newfoundland. And I want to go home to Newfoundland. I want to go home to Newfoundland. And I want to go home to Newfoundland. I want to go home to Newfoundland. Now I want to go home to Newfoundland. Yeah, I want to go home to Newfoundland. Sing it if you want. 'Cause I want to go home to Newfoundland. And I want to go home to Newfoundland. Yeah, I see a couple of you singing. And I want to go. There's no place like home, no. I want to go to Newfoundland. Oh, I want to go to Newfoundland.
I don't think I could have made a better pick of song or artist. So don't go away because Evelyn Jess, or Jess as I fondly call her, is going to perform about 4 or 5 more songs for us. But have a cup of tea, coffee, get a few sweets, and enjoy the music. And I think Dave, are we allowed to wrap up?
Yeah, I was just going to thank you.
Oh, okay, come on.
I have to just say thank you for thank you. Yeah, I don't think the mic got broke that over and over. My God.
I can't hear you, Dave.
Can you hear me, John?
I can hear you.
I was trying to get. Huh? I could have just got this policy. Anyway, she just invited me back to the tea and coffee. Did I mention it's free? Okay, and the bar is still open, seriously. Those of you who have held the time, go down to support the club band. Thank you all for coming. This is wonderful. 40 plus, I can. I'm able to tender, so I count 3 times. That is 42. Anyway, so I've ended with this. I wrote up something this evening as I came out the road. Okay, here we go. Thank you all for coming. That good? I got the books are for sale.
Yeah, they are.
Table, that's
They
good.
are.
Refreshments are free. I got all that down there. And here's what I put there. This is a little carrot. And I said, hopefully we're inviting you all in the not too distant future to the premiere of the series of miss these adventures. So don't go away. Now, how's that for a nice little bark at the end? And don't forget the autograph section. We'll be in the washroom. I'll try not to slip it.
And again, I really appreciate all your support. Thank you so much. Now you know what it's about. Spread the word and let's make it happen.